안녕하세요 여러분, TGS에서 코로나를 얻고 회복한 프느느입니다. 오늘은 여러분께 아주 특별한 영상을 하나 준비했는데요. 제가 도쿄로 출발하기 전 사이버펑크 2077의 신규 확장팩 팬텀리버티 사전 행사가 있었는데요. 국내에선 보기 드문 체험형 쇼케이스 게임 행사였습니다. 직접 팬텀리버티 인트로를 V가 되어 경험해볼 수 있는 아주 재미있는 행사였죠. 사진도 아주 아스트랄하게 찍었고 행복한 시간을 보냈습니다. 요건 커뮤니티에 올릴게요. 아무튼 이 행사를 기념하기 위해 개발자분들이 한국에 찾아왔었습니다. 정말 특별한 기회가 생겨서 퀘스트 디렉터 파벨 사스코님과 현지화 디렉터 미콜라이 슈베트님을 직접 인터뷰할 수 있었는데요. 부족한 영어 실력으로 인해 통역을 해주신 CDPR 코리아 팀원분들께 감사 인사 전하며 오늘 영상 대부분 통역에 의존한 인터뷰니까 양해 부탁드립니다. 영상 재미있게 보시고 구독과 좋아요 부탁드립니다. 구독자 8,000명 돌파 감사드립니다. 힘낼게요. 이제 2년 만에 신규 DLC가 발매된 건데 발매 직전인 지금 상황에서 두 분 소감을 좀 한번 들어보고 싶거든요.
Excitement. It's been so long we've been working on the expansion and it feels like actually releasing a completely new game. So like for me it's the excitement and also like the urge to finally hear what the players think about all of this.
I think like for me the dominant emotion is responsibility. I really feel like the weight of just players' expectations of these 2 years, of the feedback that we got, and there was a lot of people that were dissatisfied. So knowing that, feeling this, thinking about this, I really feel like so much is really riding on this. We spent loads of time really working on this, like this 2 years. Even majority of the time and attention has been on it. Like at the peak time we had like 360 people or so working expansion. That's a lot of people, right, that put trust in us. Like I'm talking as directors, right, because that's our positions in this case, right, like each of us responsible for a big large part of the game. And I kind of feel happy inside too, because like I've been hearing things here and there about like reception from the players a bit, who had the chance to play during 팬텀리버티 tour, then some of it from the journalists. So I kind of know that I think the reception is gonna be okay, but you never know until it like hits the market, until everyone plays it, until like I don't know, you have a meta score, you never really know. So it's just always this uncertainty.
팬텀리버티 이야기 들어가기 전에 이번에 2.0 업데이트가 들어가기 때문에 요거를 조금만 이야기를 하고 싶은데 어떤 업데이트인지, 그리고 두 분 담당하신 업무 중에 이와 관련된 파트가 있는지 짧게 얘기해요.
Okay, I can. So 2.0 is a huge update. We've been working on it for like a year and a half at this point. Update is about gameplay overhaul, mostly of the base game, and so we have first and foremost the vehicle combat and car chases. And what's connected with that is the combat AI, right? Because like we had to upgrade combat AI greatly to be able to perform all of those things that we have in the vehicle combat and so on. Then, of course, the perk rework, right? Like all of the skill trees, we kind of trashed them and started from scratch and really rebuild it all. And what's connected with that is a relic skill tree as well. And what's connected with that is a cyberware rework and a new cyberware capacity system that comes in, moving all of the armor from actual clothing to cyberware, and then changes that are coming into the whole balance of the game, and starting from prices, starting from items, the power of the items, the whole difficulty curve of the game, starting from story mode, easy, normal, hard. All of those have been redone, including like very hard. Now it really feels like a proper challenge, which wasn't the case before. Loads of smaller changes that are basically just about more fidelity in the game. You have things like UI and UX rework, so quality of life improvements, things that make it easier to use the game, like just for instance like phone rework, like whole phone, how texting works and so on, that's been redone completely. It's been a lot, when you look at it, just so many things. And I can go much more into detail if you want to. And when it comes to my departments, so I'm a director of Quest, open world and cinematic departments. So we design story implemented. So for me, it was we were basically responsible for implementation of majority of those features in the game. So for instance, like when you're going into new net running and you're using vertical hacking and so on, we had to obviously like implement that all in the game. So a lot of things that are connected with the content itself as something that we have been involved in some ways. And 2.0 took a lot of time from my department.
When it comes to my team, it's a little bit less, so to say, because we're in localization mostly focused on all things narrative, and as Pavel said, the update was more about gameplay, but we also take care of everything connected with text. So all those new features, especially the perk descriptions, the cyberware, needed our support in terms of how to write the descriptions of those skills, the tooltips. We're working very closely with the gameplay designers to make sure that the idea that they have behind the new skills, the new perks, the new cyberware is clearly communicated to the players through all the tutorials, through all the descriptions, that the players have important keywords highlighted so that when they actually read the descriptions, look at the new skill tree, they can immediately understand what it does, how it will affect their play style, how it will affect the gameplay, and it might sound as not too much, but it's actually a lot of like this very specific work that requires, because it's all about details. So, and of course we needed to make sure that it's appropriately conveyed, not in one language but in 19.
사이버펑크 2077 본편이 V에게 개인사의 느낌을 좀 더 다뤘다면 팬텀리버티는 V라는 캐릭터가 퀘스트와 내러티브에서 어떤 역할을 하게 되는지, 본편과 진행 방향성이 달라지는 건지.
Okay, so the answer is a bit complex, but I'll try to do it briefly. So, first and foremost, Phantom Liberty is a spy thriller, and in that whole story, V is really treated like a spy and can really roleplay and be that spy in that story. That are allowing you to roleplay as the spy, and the whole story is hooked up in a way that V is placed really in the center of that story, because like the whole story starts from the fact that Somi, who contacts you, she actually has no other way to really contact with anyone, and she needs help, and she contacts with V through Relic, right? And so because of that, they have this unique connection. That means that thanks to that, V is actually able to help her out. That actually positions V in the center of that story, and whole story is actually about Somi offering you, hey, would you like to, I know that I can help you, you know, I can save your life, V. And she says that very directly, even though there's actually lots of the political background that's true, you know, this is more like a stage, you know, for all of the events to happen. Like V is still really important for that story. This is how this branch of Phantom Liberty works in the whole ecosystem of Cyberpunk 2077. As you probably know already, Phantom Liberty has multiple different endings, but then it also adds an ending for a base game, right? So in a way, we wanted to conclude, you know, the whole thing together, having, you know, you played the Phantom Liberty. So this is how we see it. Like, there's of course, you know, a lot of political play, a lot of the background with that, but this is more of a background of a context of what is really happening. We as CD Projekt, I think we are really best in building character relationships, because the spy thriller puts the characters in the most important place. The characters are a spotlight. So all of the political intrigue and everything around it, it's more like a background, you know? The characters are the most important people in that story and what happens between them.
이번 팬텀리버티에서 두 분이 가장 마음에 들어하는 캐릭터가
It's hard to talk about it without spoiling too much, but I think like Songbird for me is this character. Like when you play Phantom Liberty, you get to know her better, you get to know her past, her motivations, and it strikes a chord. And it strikes a chord with Z as a character as well. And from my perspective, since I'm involved in voiceover recordings for the scenes, like we have some very powerful scenes that that she's featured in. And this was also one of the most intense things that we ever recorded in voiceovers in terms of emotions, in terms of like the whole substance of the scene. So when we did that, it really felt as you're doing something really powerful and emotional, and it feels like doing something very beautiful as well. So I think Sony for me.
For me, it will be probably Idris Elba as Solomon Reed. There's many reasons why. Actually, like maybe before I answer this question, I can speak more about like how we have casted him when it's slightly different than how it was with Keanu Reeves and the base game. Because with Keanu Reeves, it was like this, that we already had a story that was more or less formulated, and we were casting actor for a role. So because of that, you know, Keanu of course fit there. And then when we were working on the quests, we kind of could like adjust and make sure it fits to him and his character and his interpretation of this character. With Idris Elba, it was something different actually. Because like we only had the story outline, so we didn't even have the screenplay yet. We didn't have the characters yet written, scenes yet written. And this is basically when we reached out to Idris Elba and his team, asking if he would want to take part in that and so on. And we basically, after having a couple conversations and kick off about like what story is going to be, he agreed on that. So then when designing the story and the quest, we could actually design things for him. So it's a different situation a bit. Like Keanu was more of a casted for a character, and then of course, you know, we've been adjusting to him to make sure the character feels the best. In here, we actually knew from the very beginning we are designing for Idris Elba as Solomon Reed. You can basically play to the strong sides of that actor because you know literally like what they do well if you have seen them in multiple movies. So this is what happened here with Idris, and we knowing that actually when we were structuring * Liberty, we knew okay what kind of scenes we want to have, what things will actually show him the best. He has a great voice, of course. He has a great, great posture, you know, in the game. It looks very like he poses there with authority, you know. When you see him in the game, you really trust this guy. You believe in what he's saying. So there's actually many layers, and his connection to Somi actually is a vital one for the whole game.
게임 자체에도 2077을 플레이하면서 정말 많은 충격을 받았는데 그 외적인 부분에 있어서 더 충격을 받았던 건 정말 이렇게 잘게 쪼개진 현지화 정책이었거든요. 특히 이제 최근에는 이 CDPR의 한국어화 정책이 다시 한번 이렇게 또 호평이 엄청나게 나오고 있는 상황인데 이런 현지화 방식을 선택하게 된 이유에 대해서 한번 여쭤보고 싶거든요.
Well, so you probably might not know that, but CD Projekt, before we started making games, was a distribution company, and it was actually the first distribution company in Poland that started offering full Polish localization of games to Polish gamers, which actually changed the market completely. And I think this is also one of the reasons why our board still values localization a lot. And when we think about localization, we always think what would be the new places or new markets where we could actually offer a new localization version. And Korea is one of those markets because you know there are a lot of gamers here, and we felt that it would be great to actually provide them with a full localization experience. Because especially for narrative-driven games like we do for RPGs, I think it's especially important to have like a full blown localization with dubbing, with voiceovers, because this helps the players immerse better into the game world, but also create better connections with the characters. That way we make sure that all the ideas behind the stories and the characters and their emotions and their feelings are completely conveyed to the local players, like in Korea. Actually, we got a prize for the best Korean localization of The Witcher 3, and it has like a special place in our room. So we're really happy that you enjoy our Korean version so much. With Cyberpunk, it was actually kind of hectic because the decision to make the Korean voiceovers was made pretty late for us. So, but we had the luck that we were working with a very trusted partner who really stepped up and managed to deliver the voiceovers for the release of Cyberpunk 2077. And coming back to the details, we always think, so translation or localization in general is not mathematics. You can never convey everything one-to-one, but the goal that we always have in mind is that, okay, maybe you will not be managed to translate this joke here in this line from English because it just doesn't work in Korean. But we have this awesome place here where we can put something distinctively Korean for Korean players only that they will appreciate that. So it's all about localization. So basically trying to create a language version that is stands on its own. So it's faithful to the original, but also it has its own character. So it has its own Easter eggs or small references that are only there for the local players, and they will appreciate that. And this, I think, makes for a really good localization.
마지막 팬들께 한 마디씩만 부탁드리고 마치는 걸로. 네.
Oh, like for my perspective is playing Korean. Like I hope you'll enjoy the Korean version. I hope you'll enjoy the voices that we've chosen for the characters, and you can believe us when I say that we put a lot of effort, a lot of love, and a lot of work in the Korean version, and we cannot wait for your impressions and cannot wait you to explore both Dogtown and the 팬텀리버티 storyline and quest line, and yeah, I'm hoping to see your reactions, hopefully positive. So thank you.
There is Somi, and Somi is an American with a Korean roots, and you can actually in the game find out about her roots a bit more and so on, how she ended up where she is, and that after playing the game, you know, together with 2.0, you will actually see of all the work that we have done, and that you will actually really enjoy the game, because that is the most important thing for us. The team really worked hard on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
프느느였습니다.